What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, MLB DFS video. It is Thursday. It is June 20th. We are back with another video. Hopefully the video finds you doing well. And first time to the channel, hopefully not the last time to the channel, but we do things a little bit differently. So you're going to notice it throughout the video. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, get those down below or email me. We go through everything. So technically, we have 9 games for the whole day. 7 games are playable on a main slate. It's a really weird, it's like a Thursday weird slate where the majority of the games are early. Then we got the Rickwood Field game that is now the Willie Mays game as the national game at night. And then we have the Padres game at like very later that we can't play. So we have 7 games we're going to cover. We're going to look at the games. We're going to cover everything. The majority of the pitchers are showing. We do have some injuries, so we'll talk about that. But we go through things. We go through the entire game. We go through all of the pitchers. We go through all of the bats in there. If you're used to an abbreviated version of just a few players at each position, that article is down below. Go check that out. And we have giveaways every single day. So we have 2 giveaways every single video, and you could win both of them. Super easy and simple. First way, like the video, be a subscriber, and leave a comment on the video for the comment picker to pick up. If this video gets at least 50 likes, you have a chance to win a free week of FTA+. Now that week includes a week of MLB, a week of NASCAR, a week of PGA, a week of MMA, NBA and NFL once those are back as well. So that'll include a full week of every sport, not just sports specific. If this video gets at least 100 likes, you have a chance to win a free month. 150 likes, a chance at a free year. And if this video or any video of ours ever get 200 or more likes, you've left a comment, and you are a YouTube subscriber, you have a chance to win a free $500 lifetime pass. We've had 2 people win lifetime passes. And it's been a while since they've done it. I think that was like February or something like that. So it's been about 4 months since we've done that. And we do these for all these sports videos that we do. So on top of that, if you've been wondering or you've been on the fence about getting on FTA+, you can check it out. It is $10 for a week or it is $30 a month. But if you use the promo code YouTube, all one word, all capital letters, for the monthly pass, you're going to get it for $10 off for a month, for the first month. If you've been on the fence and you want to do the yearly pass, normally $199, if you use the promo code BIRTHDAY, all one word, all capital letters, you will get $100 off right now. There are only a few coupon codes left for both of these, so it's first come, first serve for any of you that are interested in that. So what we're going to do is we did not have a video yesterday because we had a baby appointment and I just didn't have time to do the video, so I apologize. But like I've said before, if you've been to the channel before, if there's not a video by like normally, let's say noon your time, there's probably not a video, but we have all the content on the website. Or you can join the Discord. Down below in the description of this video is not only today's article, but the Discord link as well to get in there. We go prop bets. We go back and forth with each other. People like to say what home run bets they like or prop bets that they like. We've got that. We've got core plays there as well. So definitely check that out. If you've been on, the channel before, you kind of know the deal. So that being said, we are going to choose these will be the winners of anyone who commented on Tuesday's video. So we didn't have a video for Wednesday. So in that video, 65 comments, 98 likes. So we almost had 100 likes to give away a free month, but we are going to give away 2 passes here. So we're going to re-roll. We're going to roll this first, even if it's got the keyword from Tuesday. It doesn't matter. The keyword was haircut or haircuts for Tuesday, but Millie Rock 17. I'm bald. I don't hit the barbershops for haircuts. Well, yeah, I mean, I do. I have to, but I haven't in a while. That's why it was. But congratulations, Millie. All you got to do is email me, dfshelp1@gmail.com. That's dfshelp, the number 1 at gmail.com. Let me know a username and email you would like on the website, and we will get you set up as soon as possible. Or if you already have an account on the site, let me know that as well. Now, Millie had the keyword, but we're going to re-roll it. But there's a chance they will win again here. It could re-roll the same comment. So the winner of the free week due to the keyword is I like how Aaron. I like how you mentioned 6 to 8 bats from each lineup makes people's heads spin. So Aaron, we I mean, you've been here before. There's those are the bats that I would take if we were stacking. So on top of this, and that's kind of a great segue into what I wanted to talk about. So we give the plays for each lineup that we would like. If you want to see even more dig into it, and you can look at the stats, you can look at the BVP, you can look at the batter splits, that is on the website, because I'm not able to go through everything for every single game, for every single stat, for every player in these videos, because those videos would be 5 hours long, and this is not a full-time job. So we give the in-depth analysis, and then we give you the batters. But if you want to dig in more, you want to see the core plays, you want to see the batters even more, that's on the website, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. So this comment did not have the keyword, so we are going to run it here again. CNO forever. Congratulations. Email me. You had it with the word haircut. Email me and we will get you set up. Or I feel like you might have an account on the website, so let me know your account if you do. So those are the 2 giveaways every single video. Check it out. If you have not already, depending on when you watch this video, check out the PGA content. We've got that up there. And we've got MMA coming this weekend. So that being said, I've already talked about it. There are 7 this is the problem. There are 7 games on this main slate that starts at noon. There are weather concerns in, I think, 3 or 4 of the games. 3 of the games, I believe. And some of the pitching's not the best. So not my favorite Thursday slate, but we still have some great pitching that we are going to cover. So looking at this, Diamondbacks at the Nationals. Ryan Nelson versus Mackenzie Gore. We've got Nelson, 22 plate appearances, really haven't seen each other. Same thing with Gore. They really haven't seen each other a ton. So we can't really go over that, and that would be the only stat to look at. So we want to dig in just a little bit deeper. We want to see how the pitcher does at home, how the pitcher does away, if they've faced them this year, all of that. So we look at Ryan Nelson here. Splits-wise, has not faced Washington this year, so these stats come from last year or whenever. But we look at this. On the road, he has a 5.19 ERA, so he still has an overall ERA of 5.49, which is not good. 41 strikeouts in those starts, also not ideal. So low strikeout there. And we look at home games, 5.75. So his ERA, both on the road and home, not ideal. People will be on this game, and they'll be like, just overall, I want Arizona bats because they're better, which in the case they are, but I will have exposure to both. Then we look at Mackenzie Gore, 8,900, splits-wise, has not faced Arizona this year. Pitching at home, actually has a little bit worse ERA at home, 3.99 in 9 starts compared to 5 on the road. So it's a little skewed. He's had more starts there, more innings pitched, obviously. Only given up 6 total home runs, so he doesn't give up a ton of long balls, but we do have some righty bats for Arizona that normally hit lefties well. Now, we're going to cover some of these bats, but if you want to see how they do, what their ISO power looks like, what their slugging percentage is, what they batting average is against strikeout percentage, walk percentage against left-handedness pitchers or right-handed pitchers, go to the MLB tab and go down here to batter splits, and you can sort it by any team you want, and you can look at the batters that are on the current roster that hit lefties well or hit righties well. So that's why we can look at that. So we'll dig in a little bit, and we'll look at the bats that we like. So there are always a few bats for Arizona that I love to take against a lefty pitcher. The first one is Christian Walker. You see that overall stat cast, we've got Ketel Marte, Jock Peterson, Christian Walker being the 3 bats that are the best bats right now with the hard hit, XM velo, stuff like that. If I were to take Arizona bats against Mackenzie Gore, I would look at Christian Walker here. I love Christian Walker when he goes up against a lefty. Another one I would look at, Randall Grichuk, would be a cheap option for Arizona in an Arizona stack who generally hits lefties better. Moreno is another one that hits lefties better. That's the third one if I'm doing a 5-man stack on DraftKings. The fourth one would be Lourdes Gurriel Jr. for sure. I usually target him against lefties. And then Eugenio Suarez, if he is in there, is another one we would look at. So depending, it's a Thursday. Some of these guys might not be in. Maybe Moreno sits. So it basically goes, if you've been with us on Sundays, Sundays are the day of rest for catchers. Thursdays are kind of those days because normally Thursdays, when it's a day game, it's like a day game after a night game, kind of like a Sunday day game after a Saturday night game. I could see Moreno being out, and I could see Tucker Barnhart being in. So if that's the case, I would still look at that a little bit. The problem is Tucker Barnhart's launch angle is -4.5. He's not hitting the ball in the air. So if you're looking for those home runs, those extra base hits, he's not really doing it, and that's really low. I don't know if I've seen that. We'll look at it a little bit more. So I don't love Tucker Barnhart. Hopefully Moreno is in and we can use him. But I am definitely looking at those Arizona bats, those righties for sure. Ketel Marte being a switch hitter, I don't mind him, especially if he's up at the top of this list or in the top 3 batters. You do have Corbin Carroll, but it's a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Not a huge fan of Carroll here against Gore. I would go with the batters that I talked about for Arizona there. Washington batters here against Ryan Nelson. It really just depends. Don't know the lineup that's going to come out. I do not trust Ryan Nelson at all. Like I said, his ERA is very much inflated. So some of the Washington bats that I would look at, obviously you can see the StatCast, you can see the launch, you can see stuff like that. One that I would look at against a righty like Nelson would be Jesse Winker, depending on where he's at, when he's going to be in this lineup. A little bit cheaper option for you out there if you're going with Washington. He's 4,100, so he is kind of up there. Batting .270, 6 home runs, 31 RBIs. He's got some good numbers, depending on where he bats in the order. But he's walking at a 13.37% against righties, so he gets on base there. His OBP is 398, batting average is 284, 824 OPS. The problem is he's not hitting home runs as much. His ISO power is only 142. That's one that I would look at. So he's definitely making the list there in a lineup. Another one, so if you are using Joey Gallo, that is a complete tournament-only option. He either hits home runs or he doesn't. That's kind of what I would look at. Luis Garcia Jr. is one that I would target in this game here. He's got a 287 average against righties. CJ Abrams is another one. I think if you take Washington bats and you're looking at a stack, I think Abrams always has to be in this lineup for you. I don't think you can get away from not having him in there. And honestly, that's basically it that, are the main ones that I would look at. So if you are going all in on a Washington stack, I would use those main ones and then just sprinkle in a couple of the other bats if there's someone like other bats that jump up there towards the top of the list. Maybe a Joey Meneses for tournaments is striking out a 17.75% rate against righties, so that's a knock on him. But he has a 275 batting average against them too. But the isolated power is .092. So not a ton of power coming out of Meneses. But if you're looking for those singles, you're looking for those doubles, just those extra fantasy points, and you're looking for Washington bats, that's not a bad way to go. I think you still want to look at Winker. You want to look at CJ Abrams. Luis Garcia would be my main 3 that I would feel confident in. And then you would choose maybe some other bats if you want to round out a full stack there. Next game, Mariners at the Guardians. You got Luis Castillo versus Logan Allen. You can kind of see the numbers are a little bit skewed. 86 plate appearances against the Guardians for Luis Castillo, 305 batting average. Now, that could just be, like, if you dig in, overall, if you just look at the surface, those aren't good numbers. But if you dig in a little bit, maybe it's like 1 or 2 batters that are batting like 700. Like Stephen Kwan's 5 for 12, that's 417. Okay, then 2 for 3 is 667. So overall, the numbers are skewed a little bit than what you might think. Castillo, though, coming into this game, he did start off, the season pretty slow. Came on strong, 3.33 ERA with 92 strikeouts already. Coming off a really good game against a Texas team, not a good game against Kansas City, good game against LA. He's had some games. The problem is he's already faced Kansas City Cleveland once this year and got the loss. Gave up 10 hits, which gives up a ton of fantasy points there. 4 earned runs. Did have 7 strikeouts, but only got 12.2 fantasy points. So tournaments, I'm okay with Castillo, but we know, or if you don't, Cleveland's been hitting, they hit really well. I'm probably, at 9,200, I'm probably not paying up for Castillo here. I would rather take the Cleveland bats. And then if you look at Logan Allen, he's got a 5.30 ERA here. Splits-wise, home games, he's got a 7.33 ERA at home. has already faced Seattle once this year, actually got the W in this one. So these are why these are all weird. Got the W, only 4 hits allowed in 6.2 innings with 6 strikeouts. But at home, he has been worse. That's the problem. You could see the home games. You could see the away. He's already had success. I'm probably not using this pitching in this game at all. I'm probably looking at the bats. So the Seattle bats that I would even consider against a lefty here, Cal Raleigh's 1. Mitch Haniger would be 2. I would look at Luke Raley, Ty France, and Dylan Moore if I'm looking at 5 batters for the Mariners that I would feel comfortable with in a stack. All righties that hit very well against lefties normally. Again, Logan Allen has had success against them before, but he does struggle at home for whatever reason. But the team that I would stack the most, and I feel the most confident in this game, would be Cleveland. Jose Ramirez is going to be very expensive. He's been one of the best hitters over the past few years, and he's doing it again this year. Josh Naylor's doing it again, yet again this year. So we look at Josh Naylor. He's got huge numbers here from the lefty side. I would not be surprised if he goes yard. I love Josh Naylor. I probably like him a little bit more than I like J. Ram today. David Fry really came out of nowhere. He would be the third one that I look at in this matchup. And then if you are looking at a couple other lefties here, if you're stacking a full stack, Steven Kwan and Andres Jimenez would be the other 2 that I would look at for a full stack here. I don't really trust any of the other guys. So yeah, the 5 in this lineup, if they're in there, Josh Naylor's my number 1. J-Ram is my number 2. David Fry is my number 3. And then if you want to do a full stack, Andres Jimenez and Steven Kwan round out the 5. So normally the strategy between stacking, whether or not it's on Fanduel or DraftKings, basically your main stack should be about a 5, and then your secondary should be about a 2 stack. So my main 5 would be there. Fanduel, it's a little bit different. It's 4 and 3, just because of how you construct your lineups over there. So I'm probably fading Castillo. Now, this is where I'll tell you, I could be wrong. I've been wrong in the past. I'll let you know if I'm wrong. I'm not taking pitching in this one. I'm giving the slight edge to Cleveland as long as the weather holds up, okay? It'll all be dependent on the weather. Looks like it's going to be good in these first 2 games. But then we get into some weather, the Tampa Bay versus Minnesota game. So we got the Tampa Bay Rays and Minnesota Twins. You got Zach Littell versus Simeon Woods Richardson. Now, we have stacked against Littell multiple times this year, and it has come through for the majority. But let's take a look at the numbers, see what they've done in the past. So Littell coming in 8,000, 4.25 ERA, 71 strikeouts. We stacked Atlanta against him because it's Atlanta. He got dominated, minus 8.9. The game before that, 8.7, 4.3. So it's been a minute since he's had a good game, and that game was against Oakland, which Oakland's obviously not a good team. We look at this. He has not faced Minnesota this year. Pitching on the road, he has a worse ERA on the road, a 5.40 ERA compared to a 3.56 at home. He's got a vast difference in his fantasy points. His fantasy points at home, 17.8 average. On the road, 7.1. Not saying he can't have a good game, but I'm not going to be using him. I will be stacking or looking at Minnesota bats here against Littell. Then I would be taking Littell here. Not the best day for pitching, though, as I've said. Okay, so on the flip side of that, Simeon Woods Richardson. And like I've told you, I will tell you when I'm wrong. And, I mean, I used him against Oakland his last start because it's against Oakland. 4 innings, 4 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 4 walks, 4 fly balls. Everything came up, 4.2 fantasy points. It was all 4s. It was always all 4s. Was wrong about that. Against Tampa Bay, they obviously are a better team than Oakland, but they've not been hitting very well this year. I think they're in dead last, right? I'm pretty sure. Let me check real quick, which I find funny because Tampa Bay has their manager, Kevin Cash, through 2030, which is wild. Yeah, they are 16 games out of first. They're 5 under 500. They're not good. They're not hitting well is the thing. So looking at that, Woods Richardson for tournaments, I'm okay with, okay? I really can't trust a ton of him for tournaments because, again, Tampa Bay has good hitters, but I'm probably off of them right now. I'm probably focusing on Minnesota bats in this one and not pitching. So if we look at the bats, Correa, well, the first one I would look at is Royce Lewis. He's been absolutely on fire as long as he's healthy and in these games. I would look at him. Carlos Correa is another one who's been on fire lately as long as he stays healthy. The same thing with Buxton. Those would be my 3 main ones. If we're looking for 5 stack, Carlos Santana's got to be in there and Willie Castro are the other 2. So if I'm looking at a 5-man stack for Minnesota, those are the 5 that I'm looking at for stacks. But the first 3 I talked about, those would be, if you're not stacking 5, those would be the 3 main bats that I would look at. So there are just certain things we look at when we're trying to get our bats. So we're going overall everything here, but if you want to break it down even more, go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, check it out. The link for the article is down below there. Weather is a concern here, so that is definitely something to monitor through the day. Luckily, it's an early game, so we'll know if there's any weather concern or not. Then we get to the next game, Houston at the White Sox. So I believe this was supposed to be Verlander's spot. He is now on the IL with a neck issue. So at the moment, MLB has it as a not sure. But Arrighetti came in. This should be Arrighetti's spot. He came in last pitch on Saturday due to he took Verlander's spot. He comes in with a 6.37 ERA, 63 strikeouts. Game log-wise was against Detroit, minus 11.8. He's had a couple of good games, so you see a great game against Seattle, a good game against San Francisco, but then he's had some bad games. Splits-wise, he has not faced Chicago this year. They are a bad team. Weather is a concern in this game, but, and just like on Tuesday, I kind of like a White Sox stack here. It didn't go off, so the White Sox did not go off in that game, but they won that game 2-0 on Tuesday, the last time we had a video that we talked about. Arrighetti just has not been good, ideally has not been good this year, for whatever reason. You never really know. But we kind of look at that, and I'm off of Arrighetti 100%. We look at the White Sox. Chris Flexen comes in, 5.35 ERA. We've used him a couple times, but we stacked against him with Arizona, and it came through for 6 runs. He's had a couple of good games, but overall, nothing. I am focused, as long as the weather holds up and this game actually gets played, I would rather play bats on both sides. Jordan would be my number 1, obviously, for the Astros. Altuve's number 2, and Bregman's number 3. If you're looking to get that 5 stack, Trey Cabbage, I think, is a cheap option here. See how cheap he is. Cheaper option, I guess. Trey Cabbage is $2,600 in this game. Very cheap if he gets in there. And we can look at outfield spot, game log, batting 297. Obviously, he doesn't get a ton of show, but you can see he's playing games in a row, fantasy points, and he's only gone up $100. Lefty bat here in Chicago, if the wind is blowing out, really depends on everything. And I did forget to mention at the beginning of this video, towards the end of this video, we're going to give you the top 20 bats after 10,000 simulations. I did forget to mention that. So we'll kind of look at it, and it takes into effect like park factors, weather, and stuff like that. So things can change throughout the day, and if they do, we will bring you as much information as we can, but these are top 20 bats towards the end of this video. So looking at the bats here, I think a cheap option would be Trey Cabbage in there. Maybe that's probably it. Those would be the bats for Houston. Chicago, because Arrighetti's been so bad, as long as the weather holds up, Luis Robert Jr., Andrew Vaughn would be number 2. Number 3 might be Paul DeJong. Be a cheap option. I don't think a lot of people will be on. If you're looking for a couple other 2 to finish it off, possibly Tommy Pham if he's in there, or we could even look at a Corey Julks against his old team as well. So I'm mainly focused on the bats. I don't want anything to do with pitching in this game here. Then we got the Dodgers versus the Rockies. Now, it's in Coors. We see a ton of runs in these games. The batters are very expensive. I understand that. Problem is the weather is a concern here, and with the Rockies being here, the Rocky Mountains, not the team, the weather can change on a dime. That's the problem. And speaking of changing on a dime, the key word today is peach. Peach is the key word. But looking at this, Gavin Stone for tournaments, I'm okay with, but again, I don't love because it is Coors. I would rather focus on the bats in this game. So looking at the bats in this game, and you've seen it before, and we saw with a monster home run the other night, Teoscar Hernandez would be my number one here against a lefty bat. I'm looking at Teoscar Hernandez as my favorite Dodger bat against a lefty in Coors. Book it for almost at least over 1.5 bases, if not a home run. He's my number one. Number 2 is Ohtani, but he's very expensive. Number 3 would be Will Smith in this lineup. 4 would be Andy Pages. And then if you want to pay up for Freeman, you can, but a Kike Hernandez or a Miguel Rojas or Vargas, depending on who's in there, would be a cheaper option if you're trying to stack the Dodgers here. It's going to be very hard to fit Teoscar, Shohei, and Freddie Freeman and Will Smith all in the same lineup. But again, you're going to have to find a lot of value on this slate if you're trying to build a Dodger stack in Coors. And then you got Gavin Stone. So we look at Gavin Stone, and there's no way I'm looking at block at all. But we look at Gavin Stone, 2.53 ERA, overall been well. 1 win against Colorado, 5 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. He's had success. Tournaments, I guess you could throw him in there. But again, the Coors effect is real. He's had success against them. He's got great numbers here. But Coors, he could get lit up. Gavin Stone for tournaments, I'm okay with. But if we are looking at Rocky bats, Ryan McMahon, Britton Doyle, maybe Charlie Blackmon. I don't love the Rockies bats that much. Other than those guys, it's really a crapshoot who's going to do anything. I'm in this game, if we can afford it, I'm going the Dodgers. The batters we talked about, Teoscar Hernandez is going to be in every single one of my lineups. It's going to be my top core play of the day as long as he's in the game. And then the Rockies, there's just not much to like about the Rockies there. Next game, we got the Royals at the Athletics. You've got Seth Lugo versus Mitch Spence. Lugo, 39 plate appearances, 270 batting average. Has had great numbers this year. Gets a juicy matchup against the A's, but we've seen the A's put up runs lately. Mitch Spence, tournament-wise, I'm okay with. I think Seth Lugo is your cash option. He's got a 2.40 ERA, 10-2 record, 79 strikeouts. Game logs, middle of the road there against the Dodgers. He's had 2 really terrible matchups against the Dodgers, against the Yankees, and then technically 3 in a row with Cleveland. All 3 really good hitting teams that you don't know what you're going to get. He's already faced Oakland once this year. 1 dub in that, 5.2 innings, 2 earned runs, but had 10 strikeouts. That was in Kansas City, which is a pitcher's ballpark. Now they're in Oakland, another pitcher's ballpark. Another one that I want to look at. Lugo for cash or tournaments, I don't care. SP1, SP2, I don't mind. I love Seth Lugo today. Just to dig into Mitch Spence just a little bit, I know Kansas City, we know that they can hit. They've been hitting very well this year. Already faced Kansas City once this year, 4.2 innings. Did give up 5 hits, but only 1 earned run with 4 Ks. Tournament-wise, I am okay with Spence just because we don't have the best pitching today. He's a cheap option. He would allow you to do a lot. So let's say you go Mitch Spence and then let's say you go Seth Lugo, or you go Mitch Spence and Luis Gil, even though he's 10,800. It allows you to go to about 4,000 per batter. He's had success in this one. Overall, I don't think I could take Oakland bats at all. But if I were to take Kansas City against Spence, Bobby Witt Jr., Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, those would be the main ones. A couple others that I would look at, Vinny Pasquantino. You go a cheap option. Nelson Velasquez could be a cheap option there. Personally, I'm not going all 5. I don't think I'm going to go with a 5-man stack for Kansas City. I don't know if I'm going to go Kansas City bats at all. But again, with the games that we have and the pitchers on the slate, you got to differentiate your lineup somewhere. But I honestly don't mind either of these pitchers. Obviously, Spence is a tournament-only pitcher because Kansas City, when their bats are off, Spence could have a good game. He's got to go more, you would love to see 6 innings out of him. But Seth Lugo, great numbers here. I would go with Seth Lugo in cash or tournaments. I don't mind at all. Then the final game we can actually play on this main slate, we got the Orioles at the Yankees. Cole Irvin versus Luis Gil. Irvin, 49 plate appearances, 310 batting average. Luis Gil, 35 plate appearances, 152. So Gil has been amazing this year. Comes in 2.03 ERA, 96 strikeouts, 9-1 record. Home games, better at home, 158 ERA at home. averaging 26.3 fantasy points at home. Baltimore, he's already faced them once this year, got the W back in April, I believe. 6.1 innings, 2 hits allowed, no earned runs, lower strikeouts, only had 5, but had 26.5 fantasy points against them. Yes, it was early in the season. Baltimore's been hitting way better since then, but he's fantastic. Game log-wise, a good game against Boston, kind of a down game against the Dodgers, great game against Minnesota, fantastic games here. He's had some amazing games this year. Averaging 23.2, perfect. I'm looking at Luis Gil, probably my favorite pitcher of the day. I get it. He can have an off day because Baltimore's really good. I don't mind him either. But if you want to save a little bit, Seth Lugo I'm completely okay with. Then on the flip side of that, you've got Cole Irvin coming in. Down, where is he at? Right here. Comes in with a 3.03 ERA, 51 strikeouts. Splitting-wise, home games, 2.83 ERA compared to a 3.33 on the road. He's been worse on the road. He is a lefty. The Yankees smash lefties, especially at home. That is kind of what we see when we're trying to decide what batters to use. Now, obviously, the big question would be, is Aaron Judge going to be in this lineup or not? Are they going to give him an off day because it's a, got hit on the hand on Tuesday? Things happen. Swelling. Depends on what it goes down. And again, maybe they DH him. We will see. So, obviously, if he is in, he's my number one here against Cole Irvin. Love him here. Rizzo at the top would be another one. Not Rizzo, Volpe. Rizzo's out. Anthony Volpe, not Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo is done for at least a while. But Aaron Judge against lefties, 27.5 walk percentage if he's in there. 464 OBP, 640 slugging, 1.104 OPS, 380 isolated power. Fantastic against lefties if he's in there. Volpe at the top, I love Volpe here. And then you've got, depends, Trevino, if he's in there, he hits lefties well. There are certain players that I don't mind. The only ones, it will all depend on if Aaron Judge is in there, but I do love a Yankee stack. Juan Soto, pretty much everybody. But again, going to be hard to get a Yankee stack, kind of just like the Dodgers, but that's what I would go with here. Baltimore bats, if we're looking at any Baltimore bats, because let's say Luis Gil has an off day. Obviously, Gunnar Henderson's one. Mountcastle, Rushman, and O'Hearn would be the ones that I'd look at. And then it's just a mishmash of Anthony Santander's been one of the hottest hitters. He's a switch hitter. I'm probably using Santander over Mountcastle and O'Hearn in this one. So if there's 3 batters that you want to focus on against Gil, Gunnar Henderson, Santander, and Rushman. Be hard to pay up for all of them. I completely understand that. But those would be the bats for the Baltimore Orioles that I would even consider if we are going with a stack like that. And there you have it. That is a Thursday slate done. All of the pitchers, all of the bats that are available. Questions, get those down below. Try to answer them. If we can't answer them here, hit us up on Discord. If I can't answer them in Discord, there are other people that can help answer those while they're in Discord as well. I do want to say, July 18th is when our baby is due to arrive. Now, it can be earlier, but that is the set date. That is the longest we're waiting. So that's a Thursday. Now, anyone who has an FTA Plus membership, I cannot guarantee we'll have any content. Since I'm the only one, I can't guarantee we'll have any content that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. For obvious reasons. I will try. But if that's the case, I hope you understand. If you have a subscription, once it runs out, if I don't have content for 4 days, I will add 4 days to the end of your subscription once it runs out. If that makes sense. So again, don't know if that's going to happen that way. Obviously, anything can happen, but I wanted to bring that to you. And I'll bring this in other videos. I realize this is the end of the video, so probably should have did it at the beginning, but here we are. So I just wanted to let you guys know that in advance, just so you know. So now we're going to give you the top 20 bats after 10,000 simulations. And then we're going to give you all of the bats that have a 10 out of 10 matchup as well. Now, you can find these on the website too under the simulation tab on FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. But we look at number 1. I don't think it's going to be a surprise. It's the matchup. It's the environment. It's the weather. Ohtani's number 1. Will Smith is number 2. Judge, if he's in there, is number 3. 4 is Teoscar Hernandez, which I think Teoscar should be number 1. 5 is Freeman. So 4 of the 5 are Dodgers. It's going to be hard to get all of them in a lineup. I understand that. Number 6 is Jose Ramirez. 7 is Miguel Vargas. 8 is Brenton Doyle. 9, CJ Abrams. 10, JP Crawford. 11, Stephen Kwan. 12, Ezekiel Tovar. 13, Mitch Haniger. 14, Juan Soto. 15, Nolan Jones. 16, Miguel Rojas. 17, J-Rod. 18, Royce Lewis. 19, Lane Thomas. And number 20 is Dylan Moore against Logan Allen. Now, all of the batters that have a 10 out of 10 matchup rating right now: Shohei, number 1. 2 is Will Smith. 3 is Aaron Judge. 4 is Jose Ramirez. 5 is Miguel Vargas. 6 is JP Crawford. 7, Stephen Kwan. 8, Mitch Haniger. 9, Miguel Rojas. 10, Royce Lewis. 11, Dylan Moore. 12, Mitch Garver. And number 13, Isaac Paredes against Simeons, Woods, Richardson. So those are the 20 bats after 10,000 simulations. Those are all of the batters that have a 10 out of 10 matchup rating right now. Again, depending on when you watch this video, weather's always changing. So definitely monitor the weather, monitor the lineups that come out. Go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. Check out us on Twitter @X @advisors_team. Make sure to come back tomorrow, a full Friday slate. We're very excited. We will be back all weekend, bringing you, hopefully, the best content we possibly can. You might still have time to look at the PGA content before it locks. We've got MMA this weekend. We've got NASCAR this weekend. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Good luck on this slate. And as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.